I'd like to welcome everyone to this webinar. I think you will find it as fascinating as I did when I first listened to it. And I have several of my friends on also, and I know I'm going to ask Nancy Walker to share with us. I shared some of the information about Jeff Carlisle and the webinar and some of the information I've gotten from Jeff. And she was very excited. So I would love to have her share in her excitement with what she is going to be learning in just a few minutes. Nancy?
Well, thank you, Debbie. I'm so happy to be invited to this webinar. I'm excited because I want to improve in a lot of areas of my life. I want to be, do, and have more, and I think that this is the key. And I just want to do life better. I want to do everything better. And I know that in the past, when I wanted to master something or get better at something, I hired a coach. When I had to do public speaking, I hired a coach. And this is doing better at life requires a coach. And also, I personally know some of the people who have been helped by Jeff, and to me, that's a proven track record, and that's why I'm excited. Thank you.
Absolutely. And there we go. We're getting a little bit of feedback, so see if I can mute everybody again. There. Still coming in a little bit. Anyway, so I apologize. I know I've shared with many of you that I really wanted to take this year to transform my life again and to be able to bring ASEA to the forefront. And I just knew this was the year. And I made that decision. I wanted to do a lot of great things this year. And it just felt right. So the minute I made that decision, Jeff Carlisle called me. And I said yes to the possibilities. And I watched the webinar that you were about to watch right now. And it awoke in me many different concepts again. I had studied a lot of these, but I was able to observe other people, and this was brand new information to them. And I saw that their minds shifted and they were open to the possibilities of creating their ideal life. And it was an amazing wonderment for me, and that it brought it to the forefront for me, and I saw it in different ways. And with that knowledge, I was able to really transform my life this time. And so it's with great pleasure, and Jeff has had many, many successes in his life. And so I put my confidence in him to share the information that he has gleaned from years of experience in going to the top in many different areas of his life. He was the top network marketer in his network marketing field and had a team of over 600,000 distributors that had generated over $1 billion in sales. He was and still number one. I think they're still at 60% of the company, and it's still one of the largest network marketing companies out there. He went to the top in real estate, a completely different, just from not knowing anything to the top in real estate in 2 years' time. And he was able to create an oil company and develop that. He's done so many different things in his life, and he's been successful in pretty much every one of them. And it's because he's gotten rid of any blocks that have pulled him back. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Jeff and let you hear from him. He's the master. Thank you. And thank you for coming on, Jeff.
My pleasure. Can you hear me okay?
I can, and I'll mute myself.
And I'm definitely not the master, but I appreciate the compliment. How about making me feel uncomfortable right at the start? Good job. So Deb likes teasing me a little bit. So I appreciate you being on here. You know, I kind of want to back up a little bit. And thank you, Nancy, for, sharing your thoughts. Nancy and I had a really amazing conversation about how things work in life and how things work with what we create. And it's always amazing to have top people like Nancy and Deb and other top leaders who've already achieved so much and already hit the positions within the company and all, certain levels of life. And it's always amazing to watch how they constantly strive to become better human beings. They're constantly striving to become a better version of themselves, to be able to do more and live more fulfilled. And so, I appreciate your comments there, Nancy. Thank you for that. And then, with Deb, it is a really interesting thing. The timing of all this kind of came around in a very funny way, how it works. I kind of want to back up a little bit because I want everybody to kind of understand why we're here on this today or tonight. Back at the beginning of ASEA, Deb had touched on, I had some pretty good sized success in the network marketing industry in my life. And I had also done a number of things outside of the network marketing industry, all of which everybody told me was impossible. I remember when I started in real estate and everybody said, you haven't done it before, you don't know what you're doing. And I told everyone that I'd be a top producer very quickly because I believed that about myself. I believed it was possible, and that happened in a very short period of time. I became one of the top agents for one of the top companies in the United States, which made me one of the few top people in the United States. I went into network marketing with no experience. And again, I told everyone that our team was going to be the number one team, and we were going to do big things in over 20 countries, and we were going to, change people's lives all over the world. Everybody told me to be quiet because I didn't know what I was talking about. Network marketing was hard and all these other great things that you hear when you come in. I learned very early on not to listen to other people unless they were going to write a check for my monthly expenses. Their opinion didn't matter to me. So I just kind of put my head down and went to work, and we had a lot of success. And what was really amazing about my journey, not just in network marketing, but outside of network marketing, was the principles that I'm going to share with you tonight were instrumental in creating success. And these principles I use in the real estate business to go from absolutely no experience whatsoever to one of the top agents in the US in a couple of years. I used it in network marketing to create and develop and build what is now still one of the biggest groups built. The team that I created has done, I think, over $1 billion now. And that's, if you put it in perspective, that's 10 times larger than ASEA's current revenue. So you look outside of different industries and things that I've been able to do, and against all odds or seeming odds, these things happened even though nobody could figure out how. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is I knew that I had come into some information early on. I knew that I had learned some things that if I could be disciplined and do those things in my own life, and if I could teach others on how to do those things, then anything was possible for what I wanted to create. And it was really great because it was at that time that I was in Salt Lake City at the very beginning of the inception of ASEA. And someone wanted to introduce me to this incredible human being who was full of integrity and massively successful by the name of Vertus Norton. And I had never met a Vertus before, and I had certainly never met someone who was so unique, not just in his name, but his integrity and his vision and his certainty. I think it was the first office, and I think there was 6 people, staff members, when I came in and met with Vertus. I mean, it was literally the very beginning of the beginning of the beginning. I don't even think people had started to recruit yet. I think it was that early on. And I knew right when I met Vertus that this company was going to go places. I knew that it was destined for something really, really special. I knew it because the person sitting in front of me was so unique, and I could feel the integrity, I could see the vision, and he had the business acumen to be able to take it to the places he wanted to take it to. And that's a very rare combination in network marketing. I've been fortunate to not only have success as a distributor. I typically get brought in by the top companies in the industry, and the owners bring me in and ask my advice and guidance on how to take them, let's say, from 100 or 200 million up to over $1 billion. And I've got a great track record of working with companies that have absolutely gone 10, 20 times their growth rate over the couple of years after I've come in and kind of helped with those companies. And so with ASEA, I saw something different. I've seen the biggest companies, I've worked with the biggest companies consulting and advising, but I saw something different. I felt something different. And when I understood what the product did, I knew this company could change the way that people live, and it could change a lot more. It could change things all over the world. At that time, I had just came to a place where I wasn't open to looking for any additional distributorship. I wasn't looking to be a distributor in any network marketing company. I was very fortunate to have had the success that I'd had. And so I told Virtus, I said, I'm going to help your company one day, and I don't know how or when or at what point, but I want to help. And if I can help in any way, I want to help. And if you believe in signs and that there are no coincidences, there's only coincidences, Virtus's predecessor in his corporate career was my best friend in college's father. So basically, Virtus's corporate, the person that ran that giant conglomerate called Kraft before Virtus, was my best friend's father in college. And so when Virtus told me he came from Kraft and his position, I took that as a sign of an alignment, and I knew that there was something that I was going to help one day. And so I kind of went on my way in life, and ASEA went on its way. And a couple years ago, to maybe almost 3 years ago, I was still doing some network marketing training, and someone in ASEA took one of my programs for network marketing, a small program on how to recruit. And the next thing you know, I get this message that someone named Nancy wants to speak with me. And so I get on the phone with, this woman, Nancy, and she's telling me how she thought that was one of the best recruiting trainings she'd ever heard. And I was very grateful. And I said, what company are you with? And she said, ASEA. And I said, wait a minute. There's a guy named Virtus Norton I met from ASEA. She goes, yeah, that's Dad. It was Nancy Norton Thurnell who was on the phone with me, and I didn't even know who she was. And so then when she said, that's Dad, I couldn't believe it. I go, are you kidding me? And she goes, no. And I said, text him right now and tell him you're on the phone with Jeff Carlisle. So she did, and that started my friendship with Nancy Thurnell. And at that point, I realized that this was coming back into my life very specifically, and it was not an accident. And so I proceeded to spend a good deal of time. I met some of your corporate executives, and I've been trying to be helpful in any way I can over the last couple of years, not consulting as I typically would where I get paid, but simply trying to add value and give advice and share insights and stuff like that. And so that kind of started my helping ASEA phase. And so I knew that ASEA had the ability to become one of the largest network marketing companies in the world. I knew that it had the ability to change the way the health of human beings across the planet existed. I knew it was that big and that important. And so I decided that I was going to share what I have learned over the years with as many people in ASEA as I could, as many leaders in ASEA as I could, so that anything that has been beneficial to me and the people that I've worked with over the years could benefit in a huge way and propel this company to where it's meant to go. I stopped coaching a couple years ago, but I kind of came out of coaching retirement for helping ASEA. It's something I feel very passionate about, and it's something that I feel intuitively that for a lot of reasons I was meant to help with. So what I wanted to do over this little period here, for those of you who are on, is I wanted to share with you kind of a summary of some of the key aspects of what I've learned. Now, this is not a network marketing training. I'm not going to talk about scripts or how to recruit or how to get customers. That's not what this is. What this is we're going to talk about some of the key things that science has now proven on how we create our life, how life shows up. And what I'd like to share with you is some things, that's me in the start of my network marketing career. It's always the worst pictures in your, when you become a top position in a company, they always take a picture of you and you always look at it and just go, oh my gosh, really? So yeah, that's not me in high school. That's when I hit the top position in my company. But I wanted to share with you some of the insights that I have learned that have allowed me, not just in one industry, to go to the top, but in different industries around the world that had nothing to do with each other. Different verticals, different industries, with no experience in any industry whatsoever, I was able to apply this information, use this information, and go out and go to the top of different industries, not just network marketing. So I felt that this would be really, really beneficial, and I wanted to share it. Now, I'm going to share a lot of information. So if you can take notes, that would be great. I'm going to share a lot of important concepts. My intention behind this is that if you never talk to me ever again in your life, that you walk away tonight with some very key distinctions and some new information that can forever change your life if you use it and if you apply it. This information is so powerful, I believe, that it was meant to find ASEA. I mean, I've had clients all over the world. I've mentored over 200 top producers from different companies. That would be the equivalent of your diamonds and above. I've had clients use this mindset information from all over the world that are not network marketing and in network marketing. I've taught it to top producers from companies that I've consulted for, in addition to those 200. So this is not theory. What I'm going to share with you is proven scientifically. It's been documented in my own life, and it's been documented in lives around the world. And you're going to hear how it's actually been documented in some of the leaders of ASEA already. So my intention is that you take this information, take notes, and at least you have this information. So at any point in the future, if you want to apply it, you can have some serious shifts and serious changes with how you go through life, how you create your life, how you create your business. It'll affect your relationships in a positive way. It changes everything. And you're going to understand when I go through and share it. Now, one thing I need you to understand, this information is a culmination of a lot of years of both studying, from quantum physics to all kinds of different programs that I've done over the last 30 years. This also is a culmination of being mentored by one of the top people in the world before she retired every week for over 15 years. So I was actually fortunate enough to attract and be mentored by a woman whose clients were, Jim Carrey and Tony Robbins and Bob Dylan, and I mean, on and on and on and on. And so I was fortunate to spend every week for hours each week going through. Yeah, we just got some feedback. Somebody just jumped on and got a lot of microphone stuff. So I was fortunate to be mentored by her on how to break patterns. So essentially, I spent 15 years every single week going through, figuring out with her what was going on in my life, why it was happening, how I was creating it, and essentially how I could shift it to go create new things. So there's a lot of years of study, almost 30 years of being in this conversation and gathering this information that has led me to this point to share it with you today. So it's not just something that I read in a book and that was it. This has been years and years and years of my life dedicated to learning this information to be able to share it with the world. So again, my intention is that you get this information, because if you apply what you're going to learn right now, you can change anything in your life at any given moment. So let's get started. So what determines results? What actually determines results in our life? What is the determining factor for how our relationships are going? What's the determining factor for how our business is going? How we are as a parent? Are we motivated? Are we not motivated? Do we feel inspired? Do we feel passionate? What is it that actually determines those aspects which create our life, which give us our life experience? So let's look at this right now. Now, people have heard me say this before, but if you've never heard me say this, this is really critical. There's something called the illusion of awareness. And there's three aspects to the illusion of the awareness. And I want you to understand this because you could apply this to your network marketing business and you could apply it to every other area of your life. There's three areas. The first is what we know. So it's what you actually know or what you're aware of that you have knowledge of. For example, I know how to drive a car, and I think most of us know how to drive a car. So you're aware that you know how to drive a car. I think most of us can speak English. So you're aware or you know that you speak English. So that's a category of what you know. It's what you're aware of that you know how to do or that you have an awareness on. The second group is what we don't know. This group is the area that we're aware of that we don't know. So for example, I do not know how to speak Mandarin Chinese. I'm aware that I don't know how to speak Mandarin. So that falls into the category of don't know. I'm aware that I don't know. I don't know how to skydive. I'm aware that I don't know how to skydive. And I'm also aware that I have no desire to jump out of a good plane at 30,000 feet as well. So I am very much aware that I don't know how to, nor do I have any desire to. Okay, so that's the category of what you don't know, right? Now, we also have a third category. Looks like somebody's having fun on the screen. We also have a third category, which is what you don't know, you don't know. Now, this is an area where you're not even aware that you don't know it. For example, have you ever sat with somebody and you ever hear of mirroring matching? So I learned in sales years ago, when I sit with people, if they start, putting their hand like this while they're listening to me, I was taught in sales training that, you wait about 15, 30 seconds and then you just put your hand like this and you actually mirror the person. If they're kind of rubbing their chin, you can wait a little bit, then you can kind of rub your chin. If they sit with their arms crossed like this, you can casually sit with your arms crossed. If they lean back, you can lean back. And so everything they do, you can actually mirror them. By mirroring somebody, you actually make them feel comfortable. They unconsciously feel more comfortable with you. So for many of us, we're not even aware that was going on. It's what we don't know, we don't know. Or for example, when you're speaking to someone about business, you look in their right eye. When you're speaking to them about emotional stuff, you look in their left eye, and they're going to receive the information more. Another piece of what you may not know that you don't know. So there's the main area that we're going to focus on. We all kind of have what we know and we're aware of. Then we have what we don't know, and we're aware we don't know. What I'm going to focus on tonight is what you don't know you don't know. Things that you may not even be aware of that are critical to how you create your life, but you didn't know it. So let's look at this now. The biggest mistake keeping you from getting the results you want is the thought process or thinking that results only come by the following: the actions you take, your circumstances, or your talent. So think about this. A lot of us have the illusion that only our actions or hard work is going to give us the success that we want. Do you need to take action in order to be successful in anything? Absolutely yes. But can actions alone get you to where you want to go? No. Your circumstances. A lot of people say, well, Jeff, you got in at the right time, or Debbie, you got in at the right time, or, you didn't have to go through what I had to go through in life, and you didn't have to go through, certain things that I had to go through, and your family had money and mine didn't, or you knew a lot of people and I don't. A lot of people think our circumstances have, this great giant impact on our results. And a lot of people use that as an excuse. I'll give you a few of my circumstances. I grew up at age 4. I was kidnapped. I was sexually abused. I had an alcoholic father who was not only verbally abusive, but at times he would get pretty aggressive with the leather belt with us, and he was very physically aggressive with my mother. I had been through, business partners who had lied and stole money. I've been through relationships where I've gotten cheated and lied to. You name it, pretty much I've been there. And a lot of people could say, well, Jeff, you had this, or you had that, or you had that. I was actually, my circumstances weren't always the best. I remember a time in college where I ran out of money. And when I say I ran out of money, I'm talking no money. I'm talking I had to go through the garbage cans to pull out the Pepsi or the Mountain Dew cans or the Coca-Cola cans, because where I grew up, you got 5 cents for every can that you were able to return for the deposit. And I was surviving off of the money I would get from cans for about 3 months in college. So when we talk about circumstances, a lot of people like to say, well, your circumstances were better than mine. And then you hear all these reasons why they're not getting the results they want. And I'm here to say, circumstances are things that happen. They're events that happen in your life. They have no bearing on whether or not you're going to be successful. Your past circumstances or your current circumstances, it has no bearing. People think has this illusion that it has a bearing, but it really doesn't. And then talent. Some people are great with people. Some people are a little bit more shy. Some people are good in front of the room. Some people aren't. Some people are funny. Some people aren't. I'm definitely not. Everybody has their talents, but talent alone can't get you results. How many talented people have we met that have all the talent in the world and they're not living the life that they want, and they're just not getting to the place they want? So talent alone can't do it. I had some people in my network marketing business that had literally no talent. And when I say no talent, I mean respectfully, no talent, but they had desire and they did whatever it took. And they had the burning passion to go out and make it happen. And little by little, they believed in themselves and they went to the top of the company, and now, 6 figures a month. And that was more than one person that had no talent that is now a 6-figure a month earner. So the mistake that we make is we think it's, just our actions. If we work hard enough, we're going to get there. You have to work hard, but that alone won't get you there. If you say, your circumstances have a big impact, they have some impact, but not really. It's really the circumstances between your ears. Your talents, whatever your talents are, you want to accentuate and use, but that alone won't get you. So what actually determines our results then? What is it that is determining our results? Henry Ford, here's this great quote: whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. So Henry Ford says it's our thoughts that are the defining factor in how our life shows up and what we experience in our life. Andrew Carnegie came from nothing, literally no money whatsoever, and created one of the biggest companies in the world. He became the largest owner of steel in the world. He built an international conglomerate from nothing and became very, very one of the wealthiest people on the planet and very prominent in the early 1900s. He says, and I'm going to paraphrase for the being proper, the person who acquires the ability to take full possession of their own mind may take possession of anything else to which they are justly entitled. That means anything that they didn't steal or didn't take from someone else. So the person who has the ability to take possession of their mind may take possession of anything else. If he's saying if you can control your mind, what you're thinking, and also what you're feeling, you can control absolutely everything else in your life, and there's nothing you can't have in your life. Professor John Wheeler. Professor Wheeler was Einstein's protege. He was Einstein's little right-hand person when Einstein was coming up through quantum physics, and Professor Wheeler is considered to be one of the top minds in physics of our generation, of our time. He says, we had this old idea that there's a universe out there, and here is man, the observer, safely protected from the universe by a 6-inch slab of plate glass. He said, so the old word observer simply has to be crossed off the books, and we must put a new word, participator. What he's saying is, we used to think that life happened somewhere out there. Life was happening and we were watching it. Almost like if you were going to go to an aquarium and watch, at SeaWorld and watch the fish swim. And there's this glass between you. You couldn't affect the fish. You couldn't affect the water. All you could do is sit back and watch. A lot of us throughout school came under the belief system that we could not affect our physical reality. We could not affect what was happening. All we can do is do the best we can with our actions and watch and see what happened. Professor Wheeler, based on the advancements in science and quantum physics, he says that is no longer true. We once thought that was true. It is not true. We must now put a new word, which is called participator. That means that we are participating with the reality that we are seeing with our eyes. We are actually participating in creating our reality. Tony Robbins, beliefs have the power to create and the power to destroy. Human beings have the awesome ability to take any experience of their lives and create a meaning that disempowers them or one that can literally save their lives. So Tony Robbins says it's our beliefs that have the power to create and the power to destroy. Oprah Winfrey, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because you become what you believe. From poverty to one of the most powerful women in the world and a multi-billionaire, says create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because you become what you believe. So Oprah Winfrey is saying it is our beliefs. So let me share something with you that kind of captures into a moment what some of us may not be aware of, but it's one of the most powerful things I had heard in my lifetime when I heard it. Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Laboratory. It's a special laboratory at Princeton University. And a few years back, there was a lab assistant who had gone in and approached her professor with a theory. And her theory was, her question that she was asking is, can a human being affect their physical reality? And so what they did is they took these very simple computer programs, or very tiny little computers, called random number generator machines. It's a very simple computer, and what it does, it's programmed to basically flip a coin, for example. So it would flip a coin and either give you heads or tails, or it would give you a 1 or a 2, or it would give you a series of numbers. So all it did was it would run a program, it was a very simple computer program, and give you a result. Now, they ran this, for example, with heads and tails. And so as you might imagine, when you work out the statistics of a random, heads or tails study, you got about 50% of the time you got heads, and about 50% of the times you got tails. And they tried this over and over and over and over and over, and the statistics did not change. 50% of the time heads, 50% about the time were tails. And this did not change. So they had their base data. So then what they did is they took a human being, they took a student, and they sat this student in front of this random number generator, just like you're sitting in front of your computer. And they had the student focus on a specific result. So for example, they would have you focus on an outcome of heads. And they'd have you close your eyes and visualize heads and feel what it would feel like to see heads as a result. They ran the test, and what they found was that when a human being was focused on heads, when one of the students was sitting there and with intention and belief and visualizing heads, the computer program actually changed and it gave far greater number of heads. They couldn't believe it. So they flipped it the other way and they had the student focus on tails. So what happened? The computer changed again. They didn't touch the computer. With the intention, with the belief and the visualization, the student was able to skew it to tails. And they did this over and over and over again. They did it with countless number of students until finally they reached a conclusion. Now, this is Princeton University. They reached a scientific conclusion after they had enough data that a human being could affect the physical world. A human being, just with their intention, their visualization, their belief, was having an effect on hardware, on a computer program, and changing the computer program without touching the machine. So this was one of the first times that we had scientific evidence that the intention and belief of a human being could affect physical reality. Now, it's one thing if we kind of could affect a conversation, or maybe we hit a goal and people say, well, you got lucky. I heard that one a lot. Jeff, you got lucky. It's one thing to affect, a certain outcome where you're not quite sure, was it luck? Was it coincidence? Was it good timing? But when you're affecting a computer and a computer program and the actual computer results are changing because of your intention, now you can't argue with that. You can't come up with like, oh, you got lucky. That doesn't happen in luck. So this was the first time that we understood that based on our belief system and our intention and our vibration, we could affect physical reality, a physical machine's output. This was groundbreaking. It changed everything. So let's talk about how we create our results, how we create our reality, how we create our life. Three main areas: our thoughts, what we think, those crazy things that go on every minute in our head, our feelings, and our beliefs. These are the three key aspects of creating reality, what you're getting as results in your life. Now, here's some common tools that people believe will help them achieve in their life. Number one, set goals. People say, you have to set goals, and goals are the key. If you set goals, you have a roadmap, you're going to hit them. Yes, that's absolutely true. It is important to know where you're going. You don't want to start driving east, heading for New York without a map. You want to be able to know exactly the shortest path of how to get there, and you want to have a destination. So yes, goals are important, but as a standalone, goals alone won't get us our results. Affirmations. How many of us have ever used affirmations or heard people use affirmations? I am this, I can do that, I can do this. While affirmations are great for starting to reprogram what our thoughts are or disrupting our thoughts that occur on a daily basis, affirmations alone don't give us the end results that we want. And I'll explain why in a minute. Visualization. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools you could use in creating a future and imagining what it feels like and imagining what it looks like. The more you can make that real, the more real it becomes to you. So visualization is a very important tool, but if you just visualize alone, or if you just visualize and do affirmations with some goals, it won't get you the results you want. Those alone won't do it. And meditation. Meditation is amazing. I know I meditate, and it's a great way to slow down the thoughts, to get into that space between thoughts and learn to control your mind. Absolutely critical to controlling the thoughts in your mind, but meditation alone won't shift things to where you need to be in order to have the results you want. Meditation alone won't do it. These four things alone won't do it. The problem is the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind. The subconscious mind, think about this, only 10% of what we have in our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs are conscious. Only 10% are conscious. We're only aware of 10%. So what we're aware of, the thoughts that we're having, how we're feeling, what we believe, is only 10% of what we are carrying. 90% is in the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind. That means everything that we are carrying, everything we are thinking, everything we are feeling, everything that we are focused on is literally in our unconscious mind, 90% of it. So if you think about that, if 90% of it is in the unconscious mind, that means 90% of what's affecting your current results, your current reality, you're not even aware of. You don't even know what is having the effect. None of us do, because it's in our unconscious. So 90% of what is empowering our life and giving us the actual results that we see every day in our relationships, in our business, in our health, is unconscious to us. We're not even aware of it. So what is it that actually is determining our results? What is it? Well, Carl Jung, most of you know this name. He's one of the foremost experts in the conscious and unconscious mind. He's quoted saying, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate." I want to repeat that. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will just call it fate. Until you bring forward and bring up what is in your unconscious mind with your unconscious thought patterns, your unconscious feelings, and your unconscious beliefs, your life will keep happening to you over and over and over again. And you'll just say, oh, well, that's just the way it's meant to be. Or, oh, that's destiny. Or that's fate. Or, oh, well, I guess that's my life. Until you bring that forward and bring that unconscious into the consciousness, your life keeps happening and you don't have any control. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. So what is it that's actually determining our results? It's our unconscious thoughts. It's our unconscious feelings. And it's our unconscious beliefs. These are the factors that are determining how we act, our enthusiasm, our belief system, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about others, how we speak, how motivated we are, how motivated we're not, how we react to situations. This determines everything. It's our unconscious thoughts, our unconscious feelings, and our unconscious beliefs that we're not even aware of. Again, only 10% are we aware of. Our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, we're only aware of 10%. 90% of what is affecting our physical reality is unconscious. Now, one of the key things that I've learned over the years, and this is one of the most important things I'm ever going to share with you, is how the unconscious mind is working. There is a filter in our brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS. It's a filter. It's actually in the back primal part of our brain. And what it does is the reticular activating system is the master filter for all information coming into our brain. It's literally the portal through which nearly all information enters the brain. So whatever we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're smelling, what we're tasting, what we're touching and feeling, all goes through the reticular activating system. All input from what we're experiencing is going through the reticular activating system. It literally filters the information as it comes into our brain and then disseminates it. Now, most of us are aware that in our brain, we don't actually have feelings. We have an electrical impulse that occurs in the brain, which releases a chemical into our body which we interpret as a feeling. So the reticular activating system is the filter that is controlling the electrical impulses and then leading to the release of chemicals which are affecting how we feel. So it is the most important aspect for how information comes into our brain, both the conscious and subconscious. And the way it works is this. If you look to the left, let's call that the world as you know it. The world is we're experiencing. The world out there. That's everything that's happening in our life to the left. Now, we have all these experiences on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis. And then that information comes in through our sensory data, right? It comes in based on what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we taste, what we smell, through our senses. And then it goes directly into the reticular activator, which then takes that information and disseminates it. The reticular activator then puts that information off into various areas of the brain. Basically, it will filter that information into different categories based on what our values are, our beliefs, our programming, our experiences. So there's different categories that the information gets filtered through. Then it goes throughout your brain into your body, which then on the far right determines how we talk, how we laugh, how we act, how we react, how motivated we are. It determines all of our behavior. So the information comes in, gets filtered, pushed through the brain into the conscious and unconscious, and it determines who we are and how we show up in our life. That's how critical and important the reticular activating system is. Now, once the reticular activating system believes that something is real, it will automatically help us to locate and spot the resources to fulfill this reality. I'm going to say that again. Once your brain, the reticular activating system, believes that something is real, it will automatically help us to locate and spot the resources to fulfill this reality. I'll give you an example. Has anyone ever gotten very excited about buying a car? I remember when I first was coming up, when I think I was 20, I don't know what I was, mid-20s. And I really, the new SL500 Mercedes-Benz came out, the two-seater. Well, actually, it was kind of four seats, but it was the convertible, and it was like, you know, the new model, and it was the first time it had ever come out. And I got so excited at that time about that car. I like really, really, really wanted that car. And I didn't want just like the normal one. I wanted like a silver one with like these really cool royal blue seats and like all this custom stuff. Now, I was just a kid in my 20s, but I made a decision that I wanted it. I went to the dealership in Beverly Hills. I went down there. I was in shorts and flip-flops, and nobody talked to me because I looked like I was 12, and I'm in shorts and flip-flops. I looked like I just came off the beach, so nobody took me seriously. And I went in there, and I made an emotional decision in that moment that that car was going to be mine. I wanted that car. When I left the dealership, the weirdest thing happened. While I was driving on my way home, all of a sudden, everywhere I looked, there was SL500s. Has this ever happened to you? Like, they were everywhere. Before, they were the most exotic thing I'd ever seen. I never saw one. Like, I'd only see like one or two ever, and I saw it in the showroom. Now, on driving home, I thought someone was playing a joke on me or pranking me, because now, like, there was like 6 of them, like, in the first 10 minutes. And I was like, what's going on? This isn't so special. I don't know what's going on. It's the reticular activating system. Once I became emotionally focused on the Mercedes-Benz, what happened was my brain started to look for evidence. It started to look for a Mercedes-Benz SL500. So people were always driving SL500s. I just wasn't aware of it because I wasn't emotionally looking for it. But the moment I made the decision it's something that I wanted and I was going to have, my brain started to hone in. Let's do a quick exercise real fast. Everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes, and don't worry, we can't see you, so don't worry about how you look. Close your eyes. Okay. Everybody clear? I want you to open your eyes and look around the room and find everything blue. Okay? Look around the room, find everything blue. Look in front of you, on the side of you, your computer, maybe your desk, behind you. Find everything you can that's blue. Okay, got it? Great. Close your eyes again. And I want you to say out loud, you're all muted, so don't worry, but say out loud everything that's brown. Say everything brown. See how much you can come up with. Okay, everybody open your eyes. Look around the room and see if there's anything brown that you missed. See if there's anything else that might be tan or brown that you didn't pick up. Actually, I probably should have done it the other way, but we did it this way. So the key is, if you're looking for blue, your brain is looking for blue. And so you're going to find all the blue. But while you're looking for blue, you may not see the brown because you're looking for blue. If I'm not looking for an SL500, I'm not going to see it. But the moment I get emotional and make a decision, my reticular activating system is going to kick in and believe that once I believe it's possible, it's going to look for the Mercedes-Benz that I want, and it's going to start seeing them everywhere. And I know you've all experienced this. So essentially, once the reticular activating system believes that something is real or possible, it will automatically help us to locate and spot the resources to fulfill this reality. Another way of saying this for network marketing is, once you believe that you can find independent leaders, when you finally believe that you can find people who will work whether you do or not and not need you for anything, your reticular activating system will kick in and start looking for the people. And essentially what this means is, you could put 100 people in the room. If you have a belief that you can't be successful or can't be a diamond, you'll go 100 people in the room and you will walk right up to the people who are not ready to work and who won't do anything. You could take someone else who believes that they're going to be a diamond, a double diamond, a triple diamond, and you could put 100 people in a room and they will walk directly unconsciously to the people that are going to go all the way at the top. That's how it works. So it automatically, unconsciously helps us spot the resources and the people. Now, what scientists have found is that the reticular activating system actually controls our belief system. Now, think about this. It actually controls our belief system. So think, it only spots or selects the information which supports our beliefs. That means that no matter what we believe in and no matter what we're thinking about, our brain is going to pay more attention or filter the information around us to assist us to get what we believe. So for example, I had been kidnapped when I was a kid. I had a belief, without knowing it, I had an unconscious belief that I could not trust people. And through a series of events in my life, I had reinforced that belief. So guess what? I end up going out into life and I pick the people I can't trust. I pick business partners, I pick relationship partners, I pick, companies that I learned ultimately that I couldn't trust. Out of all 7 billion people on the planet, I kept picking the people that would support the belief that I couldn't trust. That's how it works, and it's all unconscious. So once you get locked in on a belief, even if it's unconscious, your reticular activating system is going to look for and find the people and the events and the circumstances that support your belief. It will look for evidence of what you believe to be true. You won't even see the other people in a room. You'll go right for the ones that support your belief. You won't even see other opportunities. You'll go right for the ones that support your belief, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Because the reticular activating system, the key about this is, what's really interesting is that the reticular activating system is programmed to let in things that match our self-image. So if we believe that going diamond is long and difficult, the reticular activating system is going to look for evidence, the people and the circumstances to support and prove that going diamond is long and difficult. If we believe that we don't deserve it, your reticular activating system is going to look for evidence and people and events to support that you don't deserve it. So if you have a negative self-image, you're not going to even perceive different opportunities or people that are around you. You won't even see them that could make you $1 million, for example, or get you to triple diamond. They don't even get through to your conscious mind. It's like they don't even exist. You don't even see them. So the reticular activating system actually is a function that looks for evidence of what we believe to be true. And your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fact or fiction, real or not real. Your unconscious mind doesn't know what's real or not real. It doesn't know if triple diamond is possible or not possible. It's only what you believe. It doesn't know if you could trust people or not trust people. It doesn't know if Mercedes is a good car or not a good car. It doesn't know the difference. So the reticular activating system doesn't differentiate between real or not real, true or not true. All it does is it takes your beliefs and it looks for evidence. That's all it does. It's a very simple facet. So we actually are going out in life looking for evidence of what we believe to be true. And what happens is we have created patterns in our life. Patterns that typically happen over and over and over again. Pattern is something that is similar that happens over and over and over again. For example, if I have an experience when I'm young where I learned that I can't trust people because I was kidnapped, then I get this belief that I can't trust people. Now, everything my dad does, I'm saying to myself, oh, look, I can't trust people. And then my friends do things, and oh, look, I can't trust people. And then I get into a relationship, and she's unfaithful. Oh, see, I can't trust people. And then I go into a business partnership, and he, steals some money. Oh, look, I can't trust people. Over and over and over again. And soon I have a pattern which is based on my belief that I can't trust people. So I keep attracting the same thing over and over and over again. So the way this works is these experiences that we have show up in patterns. These patterns are usually formed between the ages or even before 6 to 8 years old. At 6 to 8 years old, we're developing our cognitive logical part of our brain. That's where we're starting to analyze things and make sense of things and use logic and reasoning. Before that, everything that happens is emotional. Someone says something, you can't make sense. You don't know if it's real or not real. You don't know if they're talking to you or not. You don't know if they're just angry or not. You take everything in emotionally, believing it's about you or believing it's true, even if it's not. So most of our life patterns get formed at very early ages when we're in the formative years before we've developed the logical, analytical part of our brain. And then these beliefs get formed, which then our brain starts looking for evidence, and then we start creating these patterns, these life patterns. And the way it works is very simple. At some moment, we get a belief. We get a belief that something is true. And then we go out into life and we have a life experience. And then through that life experience, we see it through the glasses of what we believe to be true. Meaning, something happens in life and we see what happens based on what our belief is. For example, have you ever noticed that in a car accident, if you have let's say 6 witnesses, you'll get 6 different stories. It's because every person is looking at that event or that life experience through their own belief system. Or if you have a conversation, you guys ever been in a conversation with somebody and you had a conversation and you see it this was said, this is what happened, and your partner or a friend is like, no, are you crazy? I said this. Didn't you hear me? I said this. And you're like, what are you talking about? You said that. No, I said this. So you could have the same conversation, but 2 different experiences based on the beliefs of each person that's having the experience. So what happens is you have a belief, you go out into life, you have this experience, and the way you observe the experience, the way you observe what happens through your reticular activating system, then you reinforce the belief. So you and I, all of us on the call, could see the same exact convention happen, and see a convention, and you're going to have hundreds of different examples and different stories of what happened, because we're all seeing it through the filter of our reticular activating system. So what happens is we have a belief, life happens, we see it through our reticular activating system, we observe it a certain way, which supports our belief, whether it's true or not, which then reinforces the belief. We go back out, have another life experience, we see it through our reticular activating system, which is proving that belief to be true, and then it repeats. We reinforce the belief gets stronger, we go out in life again, reticular activating system looks for evidence, sees it, supports it, see, it's true. We go out in life again, and we start to believe it more and more and more. Every time we think we see it, we believe it more and more and more until it becomes a pattern. Now, the question, have you seen patterns in your own life? Have you seen any patterns in your own life? I'll give you a couple of examples of patterns. One pattern is around money. You can be in different money patterns, but one pattern that I see all the time around money is people get to a certain level, a financial level, almost like a thermometer in a room. They get to a certain level, and then all of a sudden something happens. Like the car breaks down, the taxes from 3 years ago come, and all of a sudden you have to pay taxes. The health insurance, just got upped. Someone needed help, a family member needed help. You had to pay for something you didn't plan on, some expense. So what happens is you go up to a certain level, and then boop, you drop right back down. And then you build it back up, and you get to a certain level, and then you go right back down. And then you build it right back up, and then something happens, and you go right back down. This is a typical one with money. We all have this unconscious belief of what we believe is possible and what we believe we deserve. So essentially, once we get up to around that belief of what we believe is possible or what we believe we deserve, we shut off, and we'll attract something that will keep us either at that level or below that level. That's why it keeps happening. You go down, then you come back up, and just when you start to get to believe what you deserve or what you believe is true or possible, the reticular activator will start looking for evidence that it's not possible past that point, and it'll go find something that brings you back down below that point. You work hard, you build it back up, you go back up, and you get right to that point again, and then your brain starts looking for evidence that it's not possible past that point, and it goes right back down. Relationships. How many times have we been in relationships where it seems like our partner does the same thing over and over and over and over? And it doesn't matter how many times we try to point out to them, they keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and they can't see it. So we're saying, hey, look, remember I talked to you about this, and this was really important to me? Yeah. Okay, well, it just happened again. No, it didn't. Yeah, you just said this, and then that you just did it again. No, I didn't. Okay, okay, this is what's really important to me. And then you go through life, and all of a sudden, a week or two later, they do it again. And you're like, what planet am I on? You just said that again, or you just did that again. Remember, we talked about that. This is really important to me. I didn't do that. And it just keeps happening over. And have you guys ever had that experience, or with a friendship? It just, you can't understand why it just keeps happening and nothing changes. It's because the person is stuck in a pattern, or your relationship is stuck in a certain pattern. Have you guys ever noticed in relationships that typically there's some things that trigger you in your relationship? Every relationship, is designed to reveal our unhealed wounds. So in every relationship, your partner is always going to trigger you, or your friend is always going to trigger you, or people are always going to trigger you. That's part of being human. So you're always going to get triggered. Well, you not always have to, but until you start doing some of this work, you get triggered. So have you ever noticed that the same types of things will trigger, and then it just keeps repeating this pattern where someone will say something and you get triggered, then you go down a spiral, and all of a sudden you're fighting. And then, you make up and you go another week, and then someone does something and the same trigger happens, and you go down a spiral, and all of a sudden you end up in a fight. And neither person's really mad. You just end up there. You guys ever notice this? So relationship patterns or health patterns. I had a client, which I've mentioned to a few people, that's in Romania, that this was one of the best examples I could ever say. She ate right. She ate very healthy. She worked out every day. She was, doing everything right. on taking care of her health, but she couldn't lose the weight that she wanted. And it didn't matter how much effort she put in or how perfect she was or disciplined she was. She kept this weight on, and she kept, and then once in a while she would lose a little bit and put it right back on. Have you guys ever noticed anybody that's in a health pattern, whether it's they keep getting sick over and over and over again, which was my mother. She kept getting all kinds of crazy things happen, and she'd get sick, and then she'd get well, and then she'd get sick, and then she'd get well. So she was in a sickness pattern. Or have you ever seen anybody in a weight pattern? They lose the weight, then they gain the weight, and they lose the weight, then they gain the weight, then they lose the weight. So these are common patterns. And Deb, I'm going to put you on the spot again real quick, if you don't mind. I was just curious, what was one of the patterns you noticed, whether it was good or bad, in your life in discussing this stuff?
One pattern I found that I did was I wanted to please my dad, which I think a lot of people do. And so I activated myself, and I became, put myself into an initiative, and I made the good grades. I aced the SATs. I did everything that would please my dad, and I would be very, very active. And I kept doing that so that every relationship I had, I just wanted to please and be perfect. And, if I was the perfect person, then I would attract the best person to me. And it wasn't working, obviously. Didn't work.
By the way, if you ever want to recruit somebody in network marketing, go find somebody with a pattern of being perfect or wanting to please their parents. It works like wonders. You'll have a Debbie on your team.
There you go. So, yeah, I want to make my dad proud.
So what would you say is the pattern then? What would you call that?
Well, it was a pattern of wanting to please and be perfect.
So is it accurate to say that every time you wanted to please and be perfect, you'd go out, work really hard, get all these results, but then you didn't feel like you pleased him or you were good enough, and so then you went back down and did even more, and then you didn't feel that you got the results you wanted, you didn't get the payoff, and so you went down, you did even more, and then you did even more things and got more results, and then you kept doing that? Is that the pattern?
Mine wasn't quite that, but it was just that I just wanted to keep pleasing, so I just kept working hard and doing things to the point where I thought there was not much else I could do. Yes.
So you were constantly doing everything you could do to try to please, but you didn't get the payoff.
Right.
So you kept doing everything you could do.
Well, it wasn't working in relationships or anything.
Right. So yeah. I'm sure, thank you for sharing.
Who wants somebody perfect? Yeah, it's boring.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, no, and I wasn't, so.
So thanks for sharing that. So the one thing I want everyone to understand is we all live in patterns. We have a belief, we go out, we find evidence of it, which supports the belief. We go out and find more evidence, supports the belief, find more evidence, supports the belief, and it just keeps spiraling on and on and on. And that's why, sometimes 5 years goes by, and then 10 years goes by, and 15 years goes by. And then we go, my life really hasn't changed all that much. Like all this time has passed, but my life really hasn't changed. It's because we're running unconscious patterns that we don't even know we have that are controlling our life because we keep recreating them, looking for evidence and recreating them. So the illusion of getting results is this. Until we shift our unconscious thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, we're going to continue to get the same results within the same patterns which we're stuck in. It won't matter how hard you work if you're stuck in a pattern. It won't matter how many affirmations you do. It won't matter how many times you close your eyes and imagine being on a beach in St. Thomas. It won't matter because we're going to be stuck in these unconscious patterns based on these unconscious beliefs, and we're going to keep recreating them over and over and over and over again. So the key here is that the reason this is so tricky is that we cannot uncover our own unconscious thoughts, feelings, and beliefs by ourselves. That's why they're unconscious. They're not available to us. We can only grasp and be aware of about 10%. The rest of it, we have no control or no access to by ourselves. It's not like we can just sit down and go, okay, I'm going to go into my unconscious and shift everything, right? So the first key to this is we can't find these things by ourselves typically. We need some influence or some outside help in doing that, whether it's through a conversation, something you read, some experience you have, which is going to trigger these things to come up. And part two is, unfortunately, awareness alone will not shift our unconscious patterns. So even if you become aware of one of your patterns, just being aware of it alone doesn't shift it. How many of us, all of us, know some of the things that stop us? We're aware that we do certain things for a period of time and then we don't do it. Or we're aware that we get triggered a certain way. Or we're aware that if someone does this, we're going to get upset. We're aware of some of our patterns when we think about it, but yet we can't seem to get out of it because they're locked in and anchored in our unconscious. So just awareness alone is not going to shift it. So how do we move the unconscious to the conscious? Again, Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life in these patterns, and you will call it fate. You'll think that's just the way life is. It doesn't have to be that way. Once you make these unconscious shifts, everything changes. Everything changes. So how do we do this? How do we change this? There's 5 main areas for shifting patterns, okay? Number 1, your core values, the things that you hold most important to you, the areas that you hold in highest regard, the things that are most important to you in life. For example, a value could be integrity, or a value could be being of your word, open communication. These are things that are most important to you. So that's one area that is key to shifting patterns. Number 2, your past memories. Even if we don't remember, I have a lot of clients who are always like, well, Jeff, I don't remember anything before 12, or I can't remember that far back. I can't tell you how many clients always tell me that, because it's in your unconscious and you've blocked out the rest of it. In your past memories, whether it's conscious or unconscious, there's these key moments that occur with these key emotions that occur. And when we are able to go back in and find those key moments, we're able to shift the patterns that were formed in those moments. So your memories. Number 3, your past programming. Think about programming. Is there something that you heard your parents say over and over again, like money doesn't grow on trees? Or if you work long enough and hard enough, you may get ahead. Or, every time we get money, it seems something happens or something goes wrong. Whatever you heard over and over or saw over and over again, that is programming. That programmed your belief system, whether your parents meant to or not. Whether they were aware of it or not, you were programmed by your parents, by your siblings, and by your experiences. Think about television. Advertisers spend billions and billions of dollars every day to program us so that we believe a certain thing about their product. For example, Taylor Swift gets paid millions and millions of dollars by Coca-Cola. So every time you hear a Taylor Swift song, you're going to feel good and you're going to want a Coca-Cola. So she's everywhere all over the radio. So every time you hear a Taylor Swift song, you want Coca-Cola. So it's programming. Think about television programming. Think about the news. They spend billions of dollars to affect our belief system. So we've been programmed our entire lives, starting from the time we were born. That's key in shifting patterns. Your identity, who you decided to become in the world. Each of us created who we are. I created Jeff. I became this person and I created my identity at a very early age in order to survive and in order to get love. The two basic functions for all human behavior is the need to survive or the need to get love. Every action, everything we do can be traced down to one of those two things, either the need to survive or the need to get love. We each created our identity of who we are in the world, how we were going to operate in the world when we were young, based on what we believed we needed to be in order to survive and in order to get love. So your identity, who you create yourself to be, is a key area. And number 5, your past decisions. We are constantly making decisions. The root word of decision means to kill off. If you look at the Latin root word, saedri, of decision, it means to kill off. Think about it. Genocide, pesticide, suicide, homicide. When you make a decision, you kill off other possibilities. We have been making decisions since we were born. Whether we know it or not, we're constantly making these unconscious and conscious decisions. Those decisions dictate the patterns that we're running in our lives. So these are 5 key areas. And I'm going to share something with you that I usually don't share, but here's the keys to shifting patterns. This is kind of the 5-step process for shifting patterns. Number 1, you identify the pattern. The easy way to identify the pattern is what keeps happening in your life more than once. It doesn't have to be exactly the same experience, but what happens more than once, it's happening over and over and over again in different ways. That's typically a pattern. So what I have people do is make a list of everything that looks like it keeps happening over and over and over again that seems to be similar to things that happened before. Number 2, you identify the original decision you made. At the beginning of every pattern, there's a moment that there was a decision that's made. That decision sets forth your belief, which then sets forth the pattern. There's a process to identify original decisions, but once you get to the original decision, you now are at the origin of the pattern. Number 3, identify the unconscious belief. There's a decision that happens, which then leads to a belief, which then leads to your brain looking for evidence to go out and find proof of that belief. So you start recreating it over and over and over again. Number 4, you must release the emotion. Awareness in steps 1 through 3 are not enough. You must release the emotion. In any given moment, at the beginning of a pattern, there's a decision and there's an emotion present at the time you make the decision. You have to have an emotional release in order to shift the pattern. So there has to be, you have to identify the original emotion and decision that started it all, and then you must have a shift or a release from the emotion. Awareness alone won't do it. The emotion's the key. And number 5, you create a new decision or a new belief now as an adult based on what it is you choose to create. So you're no longer going to be, once you do steps 1 through 4, you then create a new decision and a new belief as an adult that serves you. So you're no longer going to be running your old belief system at this point that you created early on. You pick and choose what serves you and what doesn't serve you, and you create your life from there. I'm going to give you a couple examples. Here's one of my clients that was in Australia. Justin was a 6-figure money earner in a network marketing company. His business had kind of hit the top. He was doing very, very well, a solid mid-6 figures in his network marketing company. He felt like he kind of hit the ceiling. He had no solutions on how to go bigger, how to grow. No matter what he did, no matter how hard he worked, he couldn't get past a certain level of income. And he felt very frustrated, and he actually started to play tricks on his mind. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I mean, here he is, a mid-6-figure earner, thinking that something's wrong with him because he can't get past a certain point. So he started to question himself. He started to question his own ability, and he started to go into a downward spiral on what's wrong with me and why is this happening and what's wrong with my group and maybe I'm not so good. And he went into that whole spiral of thoughts. Justin met me in November, I think it was 2015 or 14. He met me in November. I talked to him about how fast a shift could happen. He said, okay, I'm game. Let's do it. Okay? This was in November. Justin proceeded to tell me that as we were coming into the Christmas holidays, especially in Australia, it's different in Australia, Jeff. We really don't work during Christmas. You Americans work during Christmas. We don't work during Christmas. Everybody stops. I'm like, I hear you. Keep talking. Yeah. No. Everybody stops. You know, they take the whole month off. It's family time. I go, I go, okay, you want to do this or not? He goes, yeah, let's do it. Here's what Justin, it was 2014. Here's what Justin posted on my business page of my Facebook page that happened less than like 45 days after we met. He says, I have to say, Jeff, you're an incredible mentor. This is going to be the third week working with you. Only 3 weeks. Within the first week, I experienced a huge shift within myself and my beliefs, just like you promised. That same week, my production doubled, and we had our biggest week ever at a time I thought it would slow due to Christmas. During the month of Christmas, I just had the biggest month of production ever, and my income was also nearly double my largest month of income ever. Thanks a lot. Your help. 2015 is going to be huge. By simply shifting his belief system in the first week, he experienced the biggest month, almost double his income within the next couple of weeks during Christmas, despite his previous belief that Christmas wasn't possible. His income almost doubled that fast. He shifted his belief and it doubled that fast. Here's Damara. Damara, Senior Vice President, Australia's largest investment bank at the time. She too was earning a mid-six-figure income when she met me. All she told me, she was tired and felt burned out. She didn't tell me anything else really at that point. She felt overwhelmed and had very little energy. And she wanted to increase her income without sacrificing her family or her health because she already had some health issues, but she didn't tell me what those were. And she wanted to get this dream house for her family. Damara came in. She started working with me on shifting the beliefs. And she said this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Thank you for the most significant transformation I've ever experienced from a course. What I got was beyond what I can explain in words. I'm not sure how to describe it, but literally overnight, my energy's back. I feel so relaxed, so free, and I'm so grateful. Damara, if you ever look on my website, Damara actually posted a video without knowing. I didn't know she was going to do it. She called me and goes, check your Facebook page. The video was so powerful, I put it on the website. Damara didn't tell me, but she was suffering from various diseases. She had Hashimoto's disease, autoimmune disease, and she had two other ones that were physically affecting her health. And I didn't know it, but she was actually going to doctors, trying to have doctors figure out what was wrong with her health. And it was affecting her energy, her thought clarity, everything. She was shutting down. Doctors couldn't figure it out. What happened, and you'll see on the video testimonial that she posted on my Facebook, which I put on the website, I didn't know this. What happened, she waited a few weeks after she worked on her shifts. All the symptoms of her diseases went away. She just stopped having the symptoms after her unconscious shifts. Everything stopped. The other thing, which I didn't know, Damara had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get pregnant. She didn't tell me that. I found out in that video that she got pregnant 3 weeks after the course. She had had a shift, and her body, because of the emotional release and the emotional shift she had, her body responded and she got pregnant. By the way, she moved into that exact dream house that she previously didn't believe she could afford. She moved into it within 6 months. That's a whole nother incredible story. So what I'm saying, and the reason I'm sharing this is how powerful our belief system is and our unconscious beliefs. This is how fast, once you have that shift and you have that release, how fast things can happen. So to shift, here's the areas. We can eliminate your unconscious fears that are stopping you. One of the biggest areas of shift for people is they have these fears that have been holding them back that they don't even know they have. Decisions they made as children, which led them to have a fear about how they're going to express themselves, on their confidence level, on what's possible for them. not even aware that we have them in our unconscious, we can find them and shift them. We can actually shift unconscious beliefs, which are creating our life experiences. You can leave and go start working around the area. Again, if you never talked to me ever, go start looking around the area of reticular activator. Go start looking around the area of unconscious beliefs and patterns. And with the emotional release, you can shift that belief systems and start attracting new things immediately. Unconscious patterns. We can break any pattern. It doesn't matter what the pattern is. I have never had a client that I've worked with on these areas where we haven't shifted patterns. There's no pattern that can't be broken. It doesn't matter what it is. And literally, I take people through a step-by-step process that actually removes all of the unconscious blocks. So these are some of the key areas: unconscious fears, unconscious beliefs, and unconscious patterns, which are stopping us that we're not even aware of stopping us. And once you shift it, it happens super, super fast. Now, I'm just going to share a few things with you. Again, I would like to share with you how fast this happens. So if you never see me again, you at least will be inspired to go out and start working in the area of your unconscious beliefs. When I was in a conversation with Nancy Thurnell, she was talking about how did I create so much success in different areas and also in network marketing. And I said, well, a system is important, but you could have a very great system, like how to build a network marketing business. But if the person's unconscious beliefs are not serving them, if they're blocking them, it won't matter how good the system is. It won't matter how good the company is, and it won't matter how good the compensation plan is. And it certainly doesn't matter how good the product is. If a person's unconscious beliefs are blocking them, it doesn't matter what's set up for them. They won't have the success they want. So I was telling Nancy that 95% of success in anything, especially in network marketing, is around the area of unconscious beliefs. Nancy challenged me, as she so wonderfully does. Nancy's feisty, and she's like, I don't believe it, simply put. And so I was getting interviewed on a international radio show, the Danielle Lynn Show, and Danielle Lynn had been after me to interview me, I guess, for like 15 years. She finally got me interviewed. And in the interview, Danielle basically asked if I would be so kind as to take her and some of her listeners through the program. So because I was going to do that program for Danielle's listeners, I invited Nancy. Nancy did the program. And here's what Nancy said. The Mindset Mastermind program, which is what we're talking about. I'm not talking about my program. I'm talking about working in the area of unconscious beliefs. She said is transformational. I was completely blown away. I have now discovered keys to how we all create our lives. And with this information about these unconscious beliefs and the reticular activator, I have literally changed my entire life in a few short months. And most importantly, nice of her to say, with Jeff's help through the program, I was able to heal one of the most important relationships in my life. She had a breakthrough in one of her most important relationships in her life. Not that it was bad, but she had a breakthrough that literally healed everything and changed the dynamic and changed her entire relationship for both people. She said, no amount of money could compare to the gifts I received from this program. It will give you things beyond what you ever imagined. She was nice to say, you must do the program. So Nancy's talking about the immediate shift she had within a few months. Business, relationships, everything changed literally within a few months. Yeska Moss, many of you know Yeska from Australia. She's an amazing human being. She said, the mindset program has been fantastic. I now have some great tools to deal with life's challenges, to break patterns, and to create the life I desire and deserve. When we met Jeff, our legs had flipped. I don't know if you know what flipping legs means in network marketing, but basically all the volume went to one side and they had to start over from scratch on their weak side. She said, from that moment, we successfully reached gold within 1 month. And on our team, we had an associate move from start to bronze, one from D700, Director 700 to bronze, 3 others from start to D700, and quite a few from start to D300. They literally shifted their belief system from a dead start on their weak leg. All these people started to change and to take off and to take action. They started to attract new people. And within, I think it was within 6 months, they hit diamond because of the shift in the belief system. And they did work, of course, but they shifted their beliefs. She said, I wish I had done the Mindset Master Program first before doing any network marketing training because it was so impactful. Here's Seth. He said, the Mindset Program with Jeff has been instrumental in helping us move forward. Jeff helped me clear a very critical thread that has been creating havoc all of my life. It has truly and profoundly shifted my awareness. I am now freed up to build with full conscious power to move forward and be the person I was born to be, and so boldly go out in the world to make a difference. Seth had this huge shift. He'd been doing personal development for 30 years. We got into the unconscious beliefs, found some key ones, and shifted them, and literally everything changed for him. Robin Nelson, maybe you know, in Australia, I was Director 700 when we commenced the Mindset Program. By the end, I had achieved bronze, and 2 weeks after the training ended, I achieved silver. I now have 1 platinum, 3 bronze, and multiple associates who are Director 300 and 700, heading to executive ranks on my team. The Mindset Mastermind Program helped me remove blocks for my success in a surprisingly simple way, which really helped me get unstuck despite my skill level. I'd recommend the course to everyone willing to break free of their limiting beliefs and live a life of prosperity and success. Robin's a tough cookie. Robin was like kind of busting my chops, like, you know, I've been in network marketing this long, and I've been doing this and done that and done that. So what's different? I said, Robin, when you shift your beliefs, your whole group's production will go up and you're not even going to work any harder. She goes, I don't believe you. I said, try me. She did the program. She called me several times going, I don't know what's happening. Like, my production's going up, but I'm not really working harder. I go, remember I told you that was going to happen? She's like, yeah. And of course, it continued to go up because she shifted some very key beliefs. Lynn Matthews, many of you know Lynn, an incredible human being. She said, if you want to realize your potential, have great relationships, create the life of your dreams, and stop letting your old beliefs run your life, you need to take the Mindset Mastermind Program with Jeff. It completely changed how I move through my life. The shifts have been unbelievable and positively impacted every aspect of my life. Relationships, work, friendships, even my income grew significantly. Her income went up 6.6 times in 5 months. So her income grew almost 7 times in 5 months from her shifts. She said, this is a must if you want to break free and live the life you deserve. One more. Some of you know Joe Christador, quiet but powerful guy. Having done spiritual work with a degree in psychology and meditating, I did not necessarily think I was going to learn anything earth-shattering. In the program, I learned the power of being able to spot my personal powers. Having completed this, I now feel like I have the biggest secret in life. What I wanted to share with you from these people, and these aren't the only ones, is that it didn't matter what their background was. It didn't matter what level they were when they came into this information. It didn't matter what their motivation level was when they came into this information. Their relationships, it didn't matter. Every single person who has gone through and worked in the area of shifting these unconscious beliefs, identifying the patterns, identifying the decisions, and then having that release, that emotional release, everything changed. Everything changed. And it didn't just change like, oh, maybe that happened. It changed dramatically where there was no question, like the computer program is now spitting out more heads. It's like undeniable. It's not coincidence. It's like so profound in people's lives that they know it to be true. There's no question. And it's not just one person. Every single person I've had that's worked in these areas has had these shifts. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because if you do nothing else in your life, if I add no other value to you in your life, I would like to be the messenger of this message. I would like to make you aware and bring this into your awareness that there is a part of your brain called the reticular activator. There is this aspect of how we create our life, how we look for evidence in our life, how we recreate patterns over and over and over again. And we're not just observers. We're not just watching it happen. We are participating every single day in everything we do. Our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs are creating what we have, which means anything is possible. Anything you want in your life is possible. You can create anything you want. It is sky is the limit. There is no limit except for what your belief system is and your limiting belief system. And this is really, really critical. And I wanted to share that. And, you know, before Nancy Thornell had asked me if I would teach this information to diamonds and above. And so we were talking last fall about, after she had gone through it, about taking this to the diamonds and above. Because of scheduling and everything else, it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. And so finally, I got in a conversation with Nancy and I said, you know, why don't I just, you know, share this? Why don't I just do a training and just put it out there and just share it? And she's like, awesome. So then I got in a conversation with Deb, and one thing led to another. And the next thing you know, Deb and a handful of people just went through, they're just finishing the mindset program and have been working on this. And through my conversations with Deb, we decided, well, okay, well, let's just not stop there. Let's do another overview so that people can become aware of how important this information is. So the reason we wanted to share this is so that if you do nothing else, you continue to do what you need to do. You continue to recruit, you talk to people, you share, you see a story, you talk about, you know, the possibilities for people, you use your experts, you go to the trainings, you go to the events, you do what you need to do. This doesn't change that. But in addition, do something to start looking at what your unconscious beliefs are, what your patterns are, and, you know, whether it's ever with me or with anyone else, start doing that work. Because it doesn't matter how hard you work, if your belief system doesn't match, it won't matter. It's the beliefs that dictate the reality. I wanted to have one person, you know, share something. Melinda, are you there? You still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Melinda went through the program, and Melinda, I didn't tell Melinda, like, you know, Melinda, here's what I want you to say or anything. Melinda, I have no idea what you're going to say, but everybody that was in the program, I want you guys to hear a real live, like, experience of someone who I feel is a completely different human being from when I met her 7 weeks ago. And she said to me, Jeff, like, are you sure this is going to work, basically? Remember?
I remember.
And I was like, this stuff works. And I don't know what you're going to say, but you've had such a transformation. My desire is not to promote my program right now, Melinda. My desire is that you talk in whatever you're going to say about this information and the validity of unconscious beliefs and how they affect. That's all. Is that cool?
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. So, like Jeff said, when I first talked to him, I asked him, I was like, is this really going to work? Because, like Jeff's background, I have had a history of sexual abuse, from starting at age 3, going through my high school years, with my uncle, who was also my godfather. I also had different rape situations happen, growing up with an alcoholic mother, you know, who the one time I sought out help from her against, like, to get away from my uncle, she shut the door in my face and left me in the room with them, kind of issues. I have been in counseling in some shape or other since I was in my first quarter of undergrad. So since I was, 18, 19 years old, and I'm 50 right now. So I've been in counseling for more than half my life. And traditional, non-traditional, and I'm, I got a master's degree. I have an outpatient rehab. I'm a speech therapist, I've had successes along the way that I had difficulty seeing, and that I was really able to push away and not really see. And then I get involved with ASEA and, all the personal development work that happens. And I'm, feeling really scared. I'm feeling still disempowered. I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling, like scared to even talk to anybody of rank, and I'm thinking, what's going on? And I still felt like there was something that I needed to get over, get past, get around, something. And so then I talked to Jeff, and he's like, no, really, go for it. This is going to help. And I was like, okay. And I did. And holy schmolies, there is no, there's just nothing. It was literally like towards the end, like I could just, I have to hold myself in my seat or else I'm going to float away. Like I'm getting pulled up to the sky. It is so empowering. And I went from not even thinking that I could talk to, the guy 3 feet away who's giving me a lot of hints that he wants health type talk, and I'm, scared to talk to him. I went from that person to being the person like, dude, I am going to have a philanthropic organization. I am going to help sexual abuse victims. I am going to help domestic abuse victims. I am going to help with Operation Underground Railroad. And that is a fact. And, this other stuff is going to come along the way. But it is just so, I can't even tell you how empowering it is. It is like, coming out from under a 300-ton rock. And I mean to say this is because I've been through hours upon hours upon hours of counseling before. I have been through it all. And I was just like, all right, like there was some skepticism.
There was more than skepticism. She was basically like, Jeff, if you tell me this works and it doesn't work, that I can't go on. That's it.
Right? It was
like she was going to shoot me.
It was absolutely amazing. Amazing. And it was, sometimes some of it was amazing. It was work. It was emotional work, and introspection and thinking about it. And, it wasn't like, oh, let's just talk and boom, it happens. You definitely had to be thinking about it and dig into yourself. And, my body at one, like I was telling the people in the class before, at one point, my body was making myself fall asleep. Every single time I tried to sit down and do something, I would just get so fatigued and I would literally fall asleep, and my pen would write the little squiggles on the paper. It took me 4 or 5 times to even be able to complete that one activity, but it was so worth it. And people look at me, they're like, did you cut your hair? Have you lost weight? They're trying to figure out what's different about me.
What's different about you?
What's different about me? I feel like I don't have to hide. One of my big things was I always felt like I was a fake. Always. It didn't matter what it was. I just felt like I was a fake. Like I had this body mask on and whatever, whoever people saw was not really me. And even to the point of at the beginning of the class, you know, if someone said my name, like if Debbie or Cindy said my name, I was like, why are they saying my name? Why am I being called out? I don't know what I mean, it was even to like as recent as that. And now it's like, bring it on. I just feel like I can handle, I have a sureness about me that I haven't had before, where I could handle things that happen, and whether they're going to be hard, I'm sure they're going to be hard, but now I just feel really empowered, and I feel, I don't even know the word for it, not fake. I feel like I'm not wearing the mask, like this is me. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm not wearing that mask.
That's great. You're a different person. I mean, from the start of where this started and how heavy and all the things you were carrying. And don't get me wrong, everybody. It doesn't matter if you've had the background that Melinda and I have had. I mean, this is just an example. It doesn't matter how extreme something in your past could be, or how it could be something trivial. If it's affecting you, it's affecting you, and it's affecting your life. She's sharing from a place of having some very serious, extreme things happen, as have I. But you're, I feel, you know, you just, and everybody in the group feels like you just are now shown up and you're a completely different person. And I'm not using that metaphorically. I mean, how you speak, you look different. Your face looks different. Debbie's shaking her head. I mean, everything's completely different. Is it, what, have you seen it, like, we're not even done. We're, you know, the last day of the program's tomorrow. But have you noticed any different, besides all the difference in how you feel and your belief system and your confidence? Has anything different happened between you and your partner? Has anything else happened in your work? Anything? Now we're not even done yet.
Right.
So I haven't even finished the program.
I do have a really different and good sense of being connected with my husband. So that's been really good. Really feel like I'm able to open up in a way that I haven't before, because I've, you know, had trust issues in the past. And so that's, you know, allowed me to approach how we talk differently, how we interact differently. In my work, in my clinic, I feel a different sense of just connectedness with my therapist. And, you know, it's funny, like one of my therapists, her marriage is falling apart. And so like, I just kind of felt drawn to like, just go walk through this one section. And it was like, that's where she was. And she just needed some support at, you know, in that moment in time. And so like just getting little hints of like, oh, I need to go over here now, or oh, I need to call this person. I'm getting more I don't know, drawn, or hearing it and acting on it a little better, I guess.
Yeah, your awareness is shifting and you're starting to actually look for different things now, because you're able to release some of the old belief systems and some of the old emotions and some of the old story that you had. Now you're starting to look for different things based on the shift. And so you're starting to see different things in your, you know, from what you told me in your relationship and in your business.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, I literally feel like everything is possible. Whereas before it would have been like, oh, it's possible for you, Jeff, and it's possible for Deb, and like, you know, everyone up there, but not for me, you know. But now I'm just like, I'm just as able to do it as anybody.
Yes, you are. Welcome to you for the first time.
Thank you. Oh, and I did get that website set up.
Oh, good. Yeah, she literally had an awareness of what she wanted to do around a charity she wanted to create, and literally, since we spoke about it, in less than a week, she's already got the site up. She's already declared that she's going to have a charity. She's already going to declare how she's going to work with the Underground and the SIA, and she's got a site up just like that.
And it's amazing. I just saw it today. It's truly amazing looking.
Yeah. Melinda, thank you for your confidence in the program, and I could not be happier for and what you're going to create. It's going to be amazing in the world. So I'm really excited about that.
And thank you.
Thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that. I'm sure everybody appreciates it. I'm not sure if Cindy and Bo were able to get off their call yet, but Deb, I think you might be one of the only ones on the call that had gone through the program. Could you just share, not about the program, but could you share what you experienced from shifts, from the unconscious belief shifts? Can you share one?
Well, I had so many. I think I'm still processing them. And one was kind of hard to say, even, because it just was so overwhelming with that. I kind of saw my mother living in a place back when we were growing up. Women were supported by their husbands and financially, and sometimes it didn't matter if the marriage was good or not good, and theirs was okay. It was relatively good, but it wasn't, I don't think, what either one of them expected. And so she lived inauthentically to have the support for her two daughters that she just loved, which were me and my sister. And I unconsciously took that on and patterned myself after that. And what I attracted after going through losing somebody who I really thought was the one that I wanted to be with, I attracted people that brought up those beliefs that I had, that I would never have the love of my life into my life. And I ended up married somebody, and it was something that happened, and everybody's been very vulnerable. He turned out to be gay, and so I was living inauthentically with him for support for my two children. That was a fear of mine, and I found that I was just living inauthentically, and it was such a huge awareness that I'm literally, this just happened a couple of nights ago, and I am still processing all of that. And I know I'm back into being my authentic self, and it feels different.
How long has it been since you were really like full on you?
Oh, it's been 20 to 25 years, I guess, at this point.
Now, if I may, look at Deb, what an incredible person she is. Look at what she's achieved, which is so incredible. Look at how many lives she's touching. And yet she feels like she hasn't even been fully in her power or her true authentic self in her power for 25 years. Look what she's able to do with not being her powerful self.
Wow.
So what does this open up for you, Deb? These shifts?
Just a whole world of possibilities of what I can create now, moving forward. Just better relationships, attracting the right person in my life. And one of my biggest goals, as you know, is to get ASEA into the forefront of the world.
Yep.
And help other people create their ideal lives, and for them to be successful, because that gives me so much joy. And so all of that is a part of what I want to create now. just helping more. I've helped some, but now I just see how much more. I mean, just watching Melinda through what she's gone through, it's just, I don't know. It was just amazing that connecting people and letting them hear information, it's meant a lot. And I just see a whole new world, I guess.
That's very exciting.
It is.
I can't even imagine like how many more lives you're going to touch and what you're going to create from this point forward. I can't even fathom it.
I hope to not be able to either.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you both sharing that. I know Cindy and Bo were stuck on another call, but they had also they're finishing up the program with us tomorrow. But the reason I wanted you to hear, see some of these testimonials and hear a couple of people is I wanted you to understand that everything you heard tonight is actually real. It is a real thing that affects us. It is real how it creates our lives. It is real how it keeps us stuck. It is real how it dictates our patterns. It is real how it dictates everything in our life, everything we see in our life, everything we experience. These are the core things that are dictating everything. And so many people want to make a difference. So many people want to be the best version of themselves. So many people want to be everything that they could possibly be. They want to have the fulfillment in the relationships. They want to have fulfillment in their work. They want to make a difference. And I know you all want to make a difference because you're in ASEA. If I can ever say anything to you, I'm telling you the key to all possibility is in your belief system. It has been passed down through the ages. It's in every, teaching from the Hopi to Christianity to the Torah, you name it, it's all taught. All of these principles have been taught and passed down. Science is now proving it and has proven it. What we believe is what we will see in our life. And they've now proven it. And once you break it down, and the key being the reticular activator and where these things get formed, you can shift any of your unconscious beliefs or conscious beliefs, and then you can create something brand new. And it happens. It's not a 10-month thing, 10-year thing. You see immediate things start happening within hours. You see immediate things start happening within days. You start having different conversations. Your relationship things change. Your business starts attracting people overnight and you don't know why. Things start happening immediately. It's an immediate, real-time result, not a future possibility. It's a real-time result. That's how powerful our belief system is and how we create our life. So I wanted to share that information with you so that you have it, and so that no matter what you do, obviously do not, keep doing what you're doing with the system, and you're going to the events and the trainings and all the things you need to do to be successful in network marketing. I'm hopefully inspiring you to take a look in these areas around the unconscious beliefs. Take a look at what may be happening in your life where you feel like it's in a pattern and you haven't gone outside of that pattern, and do whatever you need to do to address it and to shift it, because everything will change. The results will change, and it will seem like it's unexplainable, but it's real. For those of you who, I wanted to do this training. Deb, did you?
I put, if anybody has it's getting late, so if anybody has a question or wants to find out any more or anything, I've put my email address in there. Please just feel free to contact me, and I can get you in touch with Jeff.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish up right now.
Okay.
So basically, you guys, whether you and I ever talk, again, it doesn't matter. You have a choice in your life. You're not stuck and you're not powerless. At any moment, you can choose to shift. So you have a choice. It doesn't have to. Your future doesn't have to be equal to your past. So, you can choose to stay where you are now. And if you do, it's very simple. We all run patterns. So your current life will be your future life based on the patterns you're running. That's very simple. Or you can do something about it. So I hope this has inspired you to do something. Deb just mentioned, if any of you have an interest in having me help you, I'm going to do another program. We're going to start it here in the next 10 days for those of you who want. If you don't want to, don't worry about it. I'm happy to point you in any directions that I can that are going to be useful and informational for you and help you look in the areas you need to look. I'm definitely happy to be a complete resource in any way that I can. Typically, the program, it's an 8-week program, is typically $7,500. For ASEA leaders, I cut that down to $4,000, and if people need to make multiple payments, I'm even doing that. That's something I typically don't do, but I'm committed to, my ideal life is helping key people go out and change the world. That's what I'm committed to. That's what I stand for. That's my life purpose. And so I'm wanting to help the leaders that really, really want to do great big things in their life beyond what they thought was possible. I want to take what I've learned in this information and pass it on to you and help you have those shifts. It's very fast, it's very succinct and very effective, and your life will never be the same. So for those of you who are interested, Deb just mentioned, let her know or contact your upline leader. We're going to start the group within the next 10 days. If you guys have any questions, I was going to answer some questions, but I guess it's getting late on the East Coast. So you can just let your upline leader or Deb know. You can email her, and then I'll get your questions answered. Because I certainly want you to have all the information about unconscious beliefs, reticular activator, and how the shift works, at least so you have the information so that you can go out and do what you want to do with it. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Thanks for those of you who shared. I'm really grateful for that. And, again, ASEA is a very, very special company, and it has very great big things in front of it. Each of you has been brought into ASEA, and you've attracted it in your life. Regardless of how big ASEA is going to become and how it's going to change the world, I want you to create the life that you want to create. It's great for you to be a part of everything ASEA is doing and contribute to it. The level at which you could live your life, the things you can create, what's possible for you, not only in ASEA, but in your relationships, in your friendships. It's a completely different universe. It's a completely different world, what's possible. And if I can be helpful in any way, I'm happy to. Worst case scenario, I hope this is really powerful, impactful information for you, and I hope you at least take it seriously enough to go take a look at it. So with that being said, Deb, I guess, if we don't want to get into questions now, I guess we'll call it. And then you guys can email Deb or your upline leader, and I'll take the next day or two and be happy to answer any questions that you have that I can answer.
You'll be able to call people, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Great.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Thanks for taking the time. I really hope this was helpful for everybody.
Thank you very much for your time.
That's good.
And thank you, Deb and Melinda and Nancy. Appreciate it.
See you all tomorrow night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.